Good morning. We're very excited to be here today at the GeekWire Cloud Summit. What we want to talk about today is something that is top of our mind and has been for the last few years, and probably most of you are grappling with that as well. It's more about how do we use data science, data platform, machine learning to solve practical problems in a solvable way. So I'm Bindu Thota. I've been in the industry for 20 years now in the Seattle area. Before, I've been at Zulily for 5 years, and before that, I've worked in a startup for a year, and then several years at Microsoft in both engineering and product.
And I'm Demitri Plessas. I'm a lead data scientist at Zulily. I lead a team of data scientists who build models and test hypotheses that are core to the business process at Zulily. And I'm happy to talk about what we're here for because there are two wonderful parts about being a data scientist at Zulily. First, we have a centralized data science team, which means I get to work in all areas of the business and I get to work with stakeholders in all areas of the business. Second, Zulily, as a business, has wonderful data science and, just by its business process, interesting data science problems. And we're excited to talk about those today.
Okay, yeah. So the big thing we've been doing at Zulily is we've been using machine learning to personalize what we show our customers for a few years now. In fact, it's core to our business model. And through the years, we've had a lot of learnings we've learned on what works and what doesn't work. And so we're going to use some case studies today to show you what we've learned and some of the tips and tricks that we picked up along the way. Okay, but first, a little bit about Zulily itself. We are an e-commerce company. We are based in Seattle. We launch close to 9,000 SKUs every single day, which is very unique even for e-commerce companies. We launch a new store every single day. We do this through hundreds of sales every day. And when we do launch it, it's most of the time, typically they're on sale for 3 days. Okay, so it's a fast-moving assortment, changes every single day. And now that brings out its own challenges. Right? How do we manage all of this at scale? And the type of products we have are women's apparel, men's footwear, home, toys, kid stuff. So when we have such a wide assortment, then the challenge becomes how do we show customers what they like and what's more interesting for them. And we've been using personalization as a core for our business model from the get-go. We've used multiple technologies, rules-based stuff and things like that. And lately, we've been using machine learning. And so if you think of shopping itself, there are two types of shoppers. The shoppers where it's a very intent-based. I have an interview coming up tomorrow. I need to go buy a blazer. I go to the mall or I go to an online store. I know exactly what I want. I just go buy it and I'm done. Now there's this other type of customer who is looking to be entertained. I have some time to kill. I'm just going to the mall. Maybe I just go hang out, right? Or maybe I'm hanging out with friends. I'm not really looking for anything. I'm looking to be entertained. I browse a few shops. I'm just looking around. If something catches my eye, but I also like the value and the price, that's when I buy. And let's face it, most of us have been both these types of customers based on our mood and the time of the day. Zulily goes after the second type of customer. For us, for our customers, we try to do shopping as an entertainment. And so that dictates a lot of what we do, our technology, our business model really. That is why we change things every day. So every day we want our customers to come and there's a thrill of discovery. What does Zulily have on sale today? And the way we show it is also not like a cookie cutter approach, but it's this beautiful curated collections that we put together. And we like to call it the art and the science mixed up that just makes it such a storytelling experience for our customers. And so that is what we want them to come every single day. And that is what we use personalization to for them to say, oh, what does they have on sale today? And what is in it for me? Entertain me really. And the interesting thing is our customers come in multiple ways. They come at desktops, they come through the mobile apps and stuff like that. And lately we've been seeing a shift more and more towards mobile. And our personalization needs to work and depending on where they are coming from. How we personalize and what we show on an app is very different from what we show on a desktop because of real estate and all the other constraints. And like these days, 74% of our orders are coming from mobile. So that is our reality as well. So over the years, we've learned some very key things. And we've had some successes. And we've actually also had things that didn't go well. And we learned actually, to be honest, more from things that didn't go well than things that did go well. The things we learned are it's very important to figure out what projects we start and we use our machine learning and data scientist solution for. Because it's not a solution for every single thing. And we need to be very strategic in figuring out what is the right problem to use this hammer versus something else that can be used with a rules-based solution. And we've learned that it's better for us to not do one-off solutions, but have like a product or a service mentality built to a core capability that extends rather than doing a one-off thing. It's not a science project. Okay. And we need to build it in an extensible way. We also need to build it in a transparent way. So what we learned, and we're going to talk about it using case studies, on how you plan for it, how do you decide if something is right for machine learning or not, and when you do take it on, how do you execute it through all the phases, building it like a core capability and a product capability rather than like a one-off science project. So let's go into case studies.
So as we go through these case studies, we thought it'd be good to start off with a product that we were building that didn't work, that wasn't what we hoped it would be, because we learned a lot from it. And so I want to talk about specifically pricing.
Yeah.
So pricing is important to all retail business. It's what we sell our products for and how we make a business and get revenue. Pricing has a lot of challenges, no matter where you're at. But for Zulily, those challenges get amplified because we're launching a new store every day and we work with thousands of boutique vendors. We'll have products that this might be the first time they're ever sold online. So consider, for example, a blue shirt. What color blue is it? What's the season? Does it have screen printing? Is there embellishments on it? What's the right price? And this exemplifies what we thought was good for machine learning. You have a process that is currently manual or rules-based with lots of meaningful input, and you need to scale it. So we thought this is perfect. Let's start and let's build a product here. And we decided to start small. Let's integrate ourselves into the rule-based system and alleviate some of the efficiencies that merchants were facing when they're trying to go through this process. And we started building models. And then we evaluated the models. And we were getting 60, 70% accuracy on our models. But that's not good enough for pricing. Pricing is so core to the business. If you're not in the 90 to 95% range, you're not going to have the trust to use it. So we took a step back and said, what's going wrong here? And the first thing we looked at is the technical details. Why are our models performing poorly? And it came down to the data. Fundamentally, messy data and noisy data is standard in all business and all data science problems. But this was particularly noisy because there were conflicting business processes and our outcomes were noisy. So we started thinking, is it worth the time to clean and fix that? So we took another step back and said, is this the right approach strategically? If we built this model and we made it perfect, is it going to extend? Is it going to help other areas of the business? Is it going to be a core service? And at that point, we realized, no, if we build this and it's perfect, it'll work in this one spot, it'll do a great job in this one spot, but it won't actually extend. We won't be able to build on it. It won't let us go deep. So we then took one more step back and said, are we even solving the right problem? And so we looked at it from the business approach. We were trying to figure out pricing for every product we were going to load when we loaded it. We said, what if we move this to a catalog instead? And not try to do it every time we see the product, but look at our entire product catalog and price our catalog. That removed the inefficiencies in the merchant's work. We were able to cut down the actual workload to something very reasonable and something that, at the end of the day, didn't require machine learning.
Yeah. So what did we learn from this? The first thing is the model is only as good as the data. So Zulily has a very, very robust data platform. We've been investing in our data for like 5+ years now. But still, when data and manual data is involved, it's just messy. That's just the way it is, right? Let's just face it. Now, the other thing is, as Demitri talked about, we lost track of the actual business problem to solve. The business problem we were trying to solve was the efficiency in the workflow, okay? And given that, yes, we launch a new store every day, but we also rerun them, in a few days. Doing it and pricing it at every time we launch was very inefficient, but moving it to the catalog level, so then you just have to work on it once, unless you don't look at it again, unless there's an exception, worked very, very well and actually solved the business problem. We would have actually gone and landed the machine learning solution had we persisted, but then because of the accuracy requirements, we still would have had to manually audit, and that would have not brought about the efficiencies we were looking for. So the big thing is, not every problem needs a machine learning solution. There are a lot of times when, if you take a step back and look at it, which is what we did a little late here, but we finally got there, is you can get pretty close with a rules-based solution sometimes. And that allows us to use machine learning resources and data science resources in problems where only they can solve it. And that was one of our big learnings. And that actually helped us be more strategic as we were looking at the intake of projects, say, does this make sense, does it not make sense to use these resources?
So I'd like to talk about a case study that Bindu's already alluded to. It's one of our first successes for using machine learning at Zulily, and that's personalizing our store. I want to talk about the art and science of machine learning because it really does come to having both. You can't remove the human element, and you can't scale without the machine element. So the art in this case is we have wonderful buyers going out, making wonderful collections and creatives that make you want to buy. But we wanted to be able to show the right stuff to the right customer so that when she comes to the site, she sees what's most interesting and relevant to her. And so this is another case where we had a lot of manual and rules-based approaches. We had lots of deep, meaningful interactions. We needed to do it at scale. We weren't just going to launch a new store every day. We were going to launch millions of new stores every day. So it was another perfect case for machine learning. But in this case, we wanted to build deep. We wanted to make sure that we were going to create a platform, not just a product. That the personalization that we're going to start with, and we decided to start with just personalizing the store, would extend and eventually go to every interaction we had with the customer. And so we did start small. We built and personalized the store. We call it our personalized sort. And when we built it as a platform, we knew that it wasn't going to succeed unless we had trust. And so we made sure that all the way through it, we could measure how is the models doing, how are the business performance in the business KPIs doing, making sure that we could bring those numbers not only to our team, but to every business stakeholder as we built it. That didn't just gain trust in the model, it allowed us to iterate. And so we were able to build better and better and better and better models, and that helped the trust even more. And so it eventually became such a core part of our business and so trusted that business stakeholders and tech teams started taking it and running with it. It's being used in places we never dreamed of, from emails to mobile push notifications. Anywhere that we interact with our customers, we do it now in a one-on-one basis using our personalized engine. And it's one of the great things about working at Zulily, seeing that success. I like to ask anybody who I work with is, what does the store look like to you? So Bindu, what does the store look like to you?
I love shoes. I buy shoes on Zulily. I also like activewear. So that's what I see when I go.
And I typically see a lot of toys because I buy for my children and a lot of men's apparel. And so it's wonderful that we have a machine learning product that enhances every aspect of our brand promise.
Okay. So what did we learn? This was an unqualified success story for us. So what did we learn through doing this? The first thing is the core capability. Right? The core capability and the model we built for this core capability is the product affinity for customers. I, as a customer, what products do I have affinity for? And since we built that as a core capability, but we didn't stop at a model. We took it, we used service engineers, we used product engineers to build really like a user service, core service. Think about it that way, right? Now we could use it and extend it to every place where we show product to our customers. And that could be marketing campaigns, that could be advertisements, that could be emails, it could be any place where we show product to customers. It is now being extended all over the place. And so that is the key learning for us. So what we did was said, okay, this is the way it works. Now let's think about it like we think about core services, the service mentality. We use it and say, let's not think about them as models, but like these are really products and services that we're building, and let's build to the core capability. And we proved that we can bet our business on this, because this is such a core part of our business. And on top of it, like Demitri alluded to, it was important to demystify it a little bit and make it more transparent. Because our internal partners need to understand, why does this customer see this versus that customer see that? And it's hard to explain with models, right? Like, okay, it's magic, you can't say that. So we needed to constantly show value, why this is working. We needed to build that instrumentation as part of the basic product we're building. And we use that to say, well, look at the lift. And then we constantly also use that to measure our own models and how well they're working. Because, this is consumers, and their tastes change, trends change. What I like today might not be what I like next month. And models go out of date. So by constantly measuring it, we're not only getting transparency and bringing our internal partners through this journey, we're also measuring, and then we are able to evolve the models to keep up with the changing trends.
And so I want to take us from our interactions with our current customers and move us to acquiring new customers. We took the learnings from both our pricing and from personalization and combined them and tried to tackle advertising. And so the art of advertising is huge. We have wonderful buyers who bring great products. We have wonderful creative teams that make them pop. The marketing teams figure out what campaigns, what channels to get them to the right customers at the right time. But there's this interchange between them. And this interchange comes when the merchandising teams make the collections and the marketing teams want to advertise those collections. And we thought that was the most strategic place for us to build deep in this model. Can we take and figure out, is this collection good for advertising? And so that's what we started building. But we knew from our previous case studies that we would have to make sure to also sell the model and have the model sell itself. It needs to be measured, it needs to be demystified, and so we started coming up with feedback loops. On top of this, we really started partnering with internal stakeholders to make sure that it was integrated in a way that was actionable for our marketing teams. So we worked with the marketing platform to make sure that our recommendations were integrated so they'd have one-stop shop to get their marketing recommendations. And then we worked with our marketing experts. We had a feedback loop. We would send them the recommendations. They would go through and say, yes, this is wonderful. We want to advertise this. No, this breaks all these best practices. Or this is kind of iffy. I'm not sure if we really should bet on this. And they'd send that back to us, and we would then go and put that in our models, improve our models, and make our models more responsive, as well as work better for the marketing campaigns that they're hoping to launch. In doing so, we were able to make it extensible to the place where now our tech teams are doing things with that platform that we never expected. They're creating their own collections just for advertising and testing against our models to see, does this work, does this not work? And it's extending into places that we never dreamed of when we started this product. And that really alludes to one of the core fundamental ideas of how we do data science at Zulily, which is data scientists aren't in an ivory tower. They're not a research team. They are part of an ecosystem. You have data engineers, machine learning engineers, service engineers, and app and mobile engineers. And they all have to come together for the perfect product. They have to iterate and work together. I might start prototyping a model, but I'm going to need the data engineers to make sure that we have the scalable data pipelines, the machine learning engineers to make sure that we can scale the model itself. We need the service engineers to make sure that it scales further to all parts of the business, as well as bringing in all the wonderful automation that they've brought in for that problem. And then we need mobile and app engineers to create a wonderful experience for our end user. Without all of us, and without all of us working together, we wouldn't come up with the perfect product. And so it's now core to everything we do that our teams come together and we work together and we iterate together and we learn from each other. And that does make the perfect product.
So what did we learn from this example? What we learned was start small, hone your muscle, hone the models, and then you can extend it. And we proved this by a second test case. We've started down this pattern with personalization, but this really took off with this ad recommendation. The big success for this is when we started extending it and using it in other campaigns, the data scientists and machine learning engineers weren't even involved. That to me is a big success. That test tells us that we built this right. And the whole mix of art and science is core to Zululi's, like our USP. And we were able to incorporate that and bring that in for us, as well as the feedback model that Demitri just talked about. And now, because of the way we're building this as products, we are able to scale our most precious resources, really, that are engineers and data scientists and machine learning engineers as well.
And so we want to take you to a last case study that really talks about how we're pushing the boundaries with machine learning and data science at Zulily. We decided we wanted to go to another core part of the business. In this case, we're going to go to the merchandise planning. One of the biggest draws to Zulily is that fun interactive experience where we do have something new and special every day. We wanted to help with that process. And again, this is another one of those places where we have wonderful art and science. The art is the buyers going out and finding these boutique brands, finding the right products, finding the right value for our customers. But there's some science that we wanted to add too, which is, do we have what she's looking for every day she comes to the site? Do we have enough tops? Do we have enough children's toys? Do we have enough things at the right prices, with the right sizes, with the right attributes? And so we started building in the same way. We decided to build strategically. We wanted to build deep. We wanted to make a platform. We wanted to make sure that we were going to solve a problem that would eventually extend. And so we did start small. We started with one division, and we started with just a few features. Can we get this right? And we kept building and building and building. So some of the attributes that are very important that we've talked about many times here is demystifying the model and building feedback loops. So I want to point out some of the architecture we've actually put into this planning process to show where those come up. So on the left, you have a product mix space where you have a product mix or a recommended product mix we want for the site. On the right, you have a business stakeholder space of key metrics that matter for that day. And so we've built sort of a two-model approach. First, given any offering that we have and any product mix, can we recommend what those metrics will be? So that's a pretty straightforward machine learning question. We built models to do that. Then, using those models, given targets that the business wants to set, can we recommend the right product mix for the customer? And for that, we used an optimizer. And so in having both of these, we get two feedback loops. First, we have a model that we can always measure and check the accuracy for. That lets us iterate, improve, and find where we're weak. That starts building trust that our forecasting is correct. At the same time, the optimizer comes with an ability to add constraints, add objectives. So when we work with our merchant stakeholders and they say, I'm not sure I would do this on this day, we can adapt. We can make the optimizer listen, and it can even go as far as to doing what-if analysis. What if on this day we couldn't find this? How can I still make a good day? We don't know if this is a success yet, but we're already reaping many benefits. Everything from consolidated data on merchant products all the way down to an even more scalable platform.
So this is by far the most ambitious thing we've attempted. And the jury is still out on how good or how bad or what the results we'll get out of it. But as Demitri mentioned, there are a lot of core capabilities we're building along the way through the journey of this project or this effort itself, including like how do we predict how much the revenue based on what we have on offer, how do we recommend? There's just a whole bunch of things that are happening. But it's very exciting to me that we are even here. Something tackling a problem like this, which is such an ambitious problem, but also very ambiguous problem. I mean, how do you say, okay, I have a demand goal of X tomorrow. What assortment of products and price points and sizes and varieties of things that we should have on the site tomorrow to not just delight our customers but also meet our sales goals and stuff like that. That's just such an ambiguous problem. The fact that we are even attempting it just tells us the maturity of where we are in our data scientists and machine learning journey, and that is actually very exciting for me. So just to reiterate, we've gone through a few case studies. We've gone through what worked, what didn't work for us. But the big things that I want us to take away are there are three key points. The first thing is build to your core capabilities. Build them in an extensible way. Think of it as a product and not as I'm researching this problem, because that is a very short-lived thing. Now, when we are out of the research mode, but trying to solve practical real-world problems where there are a lot of internal stakeholders as well as external customers. How do you take our capabilities and our skill sets forward? Think deeper, build deep, build as a platform, build extensible. Build it in a way it's transparent so people understand what's going on and we can measure it. But the key thing is build it with feedback loops, because practical problems are always, there's an art and science. And that's what is magical. When it actually works, it is pretty magical. And the last thing is build it in a way where you can iterate and the models can evolve, because things change. Very quickly, models get outdated. So how do you measure it? How do you start small, extend, but continuously evolve and make it like it's a living thing? And that has been core for us, and those are the learnings we've had. And hopefully you can fast track. This is like over 3 years or maybe 4 of learnings for us that you can take advantage of. From a pure technical perspective and tech team perspective, I've been like a product person and an engineering person for a long time. And it's been exciting for me to partner with Demitri and his team, the core data scientists and the machine learning engineers in our company, to actually make practical products out of it. And that has been the really exciting part for me personally.
And from my perspective, I come from academia. I was one of those theoreticians who would work on a lengthy research project, but I wanted to do something with real impact. And so being a data scientist at Zulily and partnering with engineers and learning from their software cycle and how we build successful products, I'm able to make impacts, see those changes, and not basically be a research team. And it's really exciting. For example, in 2018, our mobile push notifications from our personalization engine increased our year-over-year revenue by 49%.
Yeah.
So.
And that was something where we extended without you being involved.
Yeah, that had nothing.
Being involved. Yeah. So that just I think that's good. It lands home the point we've been trying to make. Any questions? Yes.
So for Demitri, how did you guys solve the depth versus breadth problem in a data science team? You guys have, 1 week you're working on recommender engines and act on classification problems. There's some benefit to somebody becoming a pure recommendation engine specialist or a pure time series specialist or something like that.
I would definitely agree with that. So let me repeat that.
Question,
yeah. So the question is, how do you deal with depth versus breadth in a data science team? For example, sometimes it's worthwhile to have someone who is a recommendation expert, whereas my team tends to work on many problems. And I think some of that comes to the company's size and the sort of problems they need to solve. For us, it's all custom work because of our business process. So fundamentally, we could have someone become an expert on recommendation systems with our perpetual cold start of new products every day. But that's a very niche thing. That's a lot of investment. Whereas we took that same investment and moved it to ad recommendation, as we shown, or even pricing, which, while it didn't work for us on our initial approach, that would maybe be a better investment than getting that extra 1 or 2% of having that expertise. Yeah. But I think some of that comes to the process. We have squads now that we're working with, and that sort of helps in the sense that our data science teams do focus more in certain areas than others, but by still being a core data science team, our learnings share. And I'd say breadth sometimes to me is better, and I'll give you one practical example. In the perfect day, when I was working on models, I was noticing some degradations, and I actually talked to another data scientist who was working in a different space, and they gave me the solution. They told me what I was missing, what was outside my model. It wasn't technical, it was something in the business, but having that connection and that knowledge really enhanced and made those models work.
Thank you.